The origins of motion pictures and cinema ancestors begin several millennia before the birth of Jesus Christ, when prehistoric man painted on the cave walls ants, animals running and jumping in an attempt to reproduce the actual movements.
Later, the Greeks painted in their vessels, battles, races, etc., after the Japanese have improved this technique and applied it in the paper.
Year of 1878, Edward Muybridge, an English photographer, had successfully photographed a horse named Sally Gardner in fast motion using a series of 24 stereoscopic cameras taking pictures at 1,000 of a second. That was the beginning of moving photograph sequence, but without sound.
The first photographic film appeared in 1879, thanks to American Thomas Edison and his assistant William Dixon. Edison created the ancestor of the camcorder, which made the film move regularly through and allowed to watch short movies.
Lumiere brothers invented the cinematograph, a portable 3-in-1 device: camera, printer, and projector. On 28 December 1895, stunned spectators attended the first show of cinematograph. Their invention traveled around the world and fascinated New York. And this brings us to the silent era.
The first successful permanent theater showing nothing but films was the Nickelodeon, which was opened in Petersburg in 1995. By this date, the film lasted at least half an hour and were long available to fill a program. They could be weekly changed when the local audience became bored with it. In the United States, other exhibitors followed the Nickelodeon's example, and in a couple of years there were thousands of these film exhibitors in operation. In 1906, the United States led a worldwide boom in both production and exhibition of films.
In the silent era, it was still no possibility to synchronize image with sound. No practical method was devised until the year of 1920. Thus, the movies were silent, although some of them were accompanied by live musicians, sound effects, and even commentary spoken by the showman or projectionists. The first 20 years of motion picture history, most silent films were short, with a few minutes length. Greta Garbo, Marilyn Dietrich, and Charlie Chaplin became the first movie stars.
Until the 30s, nearly all feature-length movies were presented with synchronized sound, and in 1932, the American Society Technicolor created a camera capable of characterizing 3 different colors: red, green, and blue. But the great majority of films were black and white up to the year of 1996, when the colors got an important role in cinema movies.
By this date, because of cinema industry development in America, there emerged the golden age of Hollywood. The Second World War had affected all of industries by the 40s and also the cinema industry.
There were produced anti-Nazi movies and war-mobilizing movies, especially in US. Casablanca is a very known movie from this decade. But there were different kind of movies, like thriller, Rebecca, comedy, Philadelphia Story, drama, Warps of Wrath, satire, The Great Dictator.
In USA, new stars appeared: Clark Gable, Henry Ford, Cary Grant, James Stewart, Humphrey Bogart, Bing Crosby, Katharine Hepburn, Bette Davis, Lauren Bacall, Judy Garland, and Olivia de Havilland.
The 50s gave to cinema a rival, the television. During this decade, the cinema audiences fell because people were too interested about this new invention, and they turned to the small black and white screens at home.
So, the studios bet on technological advances like film projection systems in large formats.
And came to the big screen, movies that sold out the tickets like 10
Commandments, Around the World in 80 Days, Singing in the Rain, and American in Paris. Those films are still known and are like milestones of the seventh art.
But there were films that reflect the influence and sensitivity that post-war was imposing in people's lives. Those were On the Waterfront, High Noon, and The Searchers.
The world was changing. America had a new president, J.F. Kennedy. In Europe, people were showing more liberal attitudes towards sex, fashion, politics, music, art, and cinema. And then in France occurred the first change, the Nouvelle Vague movement. That movement came to Hollywood. This decade is marked by the sequels of movies from the previous decade, for example Star Wars and Jaws, and by the birth of blockbuster concept that means box office success.
Cinema industry was interested to please young people audience who liked special effects and action movies. Ghostbusters, Rambo, Lethal Weapon, Die Hard and Batman are truly blockbusters, and all of them have sequels which are blockbusters too. Hollywood has seen the average budget of a film shot dramatically, and some actors obtained millionaire wages.
This is blockbuster golden age. The great producers use the most modern and fabulous budgets in movies like Jurassic Park, Titanic, and Terminator. At the same time, independent producers as Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, and the Coen brothers were able to produce movies like Pulp Fiction, Fargo, and others, using low budgets but with quality. Through that situation, they bet on DVDs and TV channels to get to success.
The animated film earned its space when movies based on literature, like The Hunchback of Notre Dame, in traditional fairy tales such as Snow White, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, or fantasy like Toy Story and Lion King, became blockbusters.
Nowadays, the cinema industry is betting on new technologies that make the audience be more involved in movies. 3D movies are getting more and more audience and becoming blockbusters. Animated films like Bolt and Monsters vs. Aliens, action films as Avatar, and horror like Final Destination and My Bloody Valentine are 3D movies. Avatar blockbuster is the most seen movie of cinema history.